Welcome to the Illuminati broadcast. I'm your host, David Moore. Your Messiah, David Moore. Gotta fix that one. Gotta remember it, okay? Yes, King David. Alright. Why am I King David? Let's see. I'm an O'Neill, and Moore means greater, so I'm a greater king, basically. I did 23andMe, and I have my DNA results, so I am definitely related to an Irish king who had a lot of kids. So I am definitely royalty, noble blood, and it only gets passed on through the males. So it means that my dad, they all had sons. They all had kids. They all had boys. So they all had boys. So when I came out, I was the firstborn on my dad's firstborn son, my dad's only and firstborn son. So I have an older sister, and it's just me. So older sister and me as a boy. Let's see. Yeah, cool, right? Yeah, but it only gets passed on through the boys. And lucky for me, my mom had a really good pedigree. So, when so I have an uncle. I don't know if he's older or younger, but than my dad. I'm gonna ask actually. I should find out. But whether or not he's older or younger doesn't matter because he married somebody that wasn't as high a pedigree as my mother, so they put all the royalties on my dad instead of my uncle. And then since I was the firstborn, it all went to me. So I'm basically, the king. All right. So I guess I got kind of lucky, but it's very similar to like how Queen Elizabeth, the uncle abdicated, then Queen Elizabeth took over. All right. So we have a lot of similarities in that area. Let's see. Okay, so I was doing research, and we have right here. Okay, so this is where the Ars Goetia starts. This is 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. in the morning. This is 12 p.m. at night, but this is when the day starts, right, at 1 a.m. So at 1 a.m., from like 12 to 1 a.m. All right, so this is Baal and Agaris, correct? And then we have okay, so 1, 2. Baal, Agaris. Who is this? 3 and 4 would be Vasago and Samigina. So Vasago is a prince. Samigena is a marquise. Vasago with the prince, if you ever look at the prince sign, it's like a 4, it's for Jupiter. And it looks like a feather. So that lets you know he's the scribe, right? He's writing down everything. But Jupiter is associated with the cups and water and hearts. So it lets you know he can read your heart. And he knows everything, all right? So then we have Anubis, and he is also a marquise. He's a marquise, but Jupiter and the moon, so a prince and a marquise. So lets you know that Thoth is a prince. So Thoth and the marquise, Samigena, which is going to be Anubis. So you see them both here. Jupiter is water, that's why it's blue. Marquise is silver, but it is also water as well. It's usually the reflection, right? That's like the reflecting part of the water. But Anubis, his job is to weigh the hearts, right? So Thoth knows everything, and Anubis weighs out what's a good plan of action. He's basically the muscle behind the whole thing. He's the reaper, right? And then you have, 2, 4, 6. So 5 and 6. Who's number 5? Marbus. Who's number 6? Valifor. All right, so number 5 with Marbus, he would be Babby, the baboon. The bull baboon. Where does the bull part come from, you say? Well, Mercury, when you look at the sigil of Mercury, it has the Taurus head on top, right? So that's the baboon. Usually he sits up here on this scale and watches everything happen. So this is the scale of judgment, and Anubis and Thoth. So Thoth would be right here and Anubis would be right here. Thoth is like, hey, this is what this person says is their life. That's that feather of Ma'at, that truth. And then Anubis is over here weighing the heart, and he's like, oh, that's real, that's true, that's not true, this is true, that's not true. Um, so he does all the muscle work, he does all the communication. So they're basically kind of like lawyers. Um, one is a prosecutor and one is the defender, right? And since I'm right here, Baal, the king, and I have a Garrus right here, so the executioner, maybe that's the person, right? The little cop that stands next to the judge. And then, yeah, all right. And then you obviously are the defendant or the victim or whatever. Let's see. But the cool thing, let's see, with Bobby and Bobby, so he's a president, right? So that's an earth sign. This is the president right here. So this is why he's on top of the scales. He's like watching everything. But his job is to like keep guard, like if you misbehave or something, he'll just go down there and be like beat the crap out of you, right? But he's also very calm and smart and intelligent. So he's looking at you. He's like, I know when you're lying. I know when you're telling the truth. He's basically there to be like keep order in the court. So I guess he would be kind of the hammer, right? But he's just like just watching. And I think the pharaohs, they're like, we want to be like Bobby because Bobby is like so attentive, right? So he's like aware, and they run in packs, and they're very communal, and they're all about aggression and conquering. That very powerful. That's why you have that president, commander in chief energy. And you could be like, well, Marbus causes and cures diseases, right? And I'm like, you're right. Like, where does that come in? Like, but I guess evidently, there was like a plague or something, and the baboon was like the reason behind it. But in the story of ancient Egyptian mythology, it says that a baboon came out, and there was like 77 dogs that came with him, and they like they caused a lot of havoc. And usually those dogs and ravens are like very similar in a sense, because in the Ars Goetia, I guess, like, when a wolf goes out and hunts, the raven will follow or help them like find the victims that they want to get, or they'll work in tandem. So that's very interesting because Valifor is a bird, right? So he's the ba, he's the bird in the courtroom, and he's like, oh, let's see, like, I guess you could kind of say the owl too, right? But he rules 36 legions. Bobby Marbus rules 36 legions. And so that lets you know 36 legions is Stolas, and Stolas is down here in the evening. But he's a prince, and his job, whatever, he comes out as a raven. So basically, Bobby has these ravens or these wolves or dogs, and he has, basically lets you know he has this army, and he's the muscle work. So he's like, all right, let's go out, let's go get all these people, and let's bring them to court, right? So he goes and gets you. And then Valifor is out there with the reconnaissance. So in, I think, number 5, what's book 5? Leviticus or Deuteronomy? Let's look it up real quick. I wrote everything down in the laptop. I like to do my research with the Gemini AI stuff, so that way it can help me tie in all the pieces, because I'm like, okay, well, what happens in this book and that book that is the same as these? Because every spirit is associated with a chapter in the book, or a book of the Bible. So obviously we have 1 and 2, which would be Genesis and Exodus, and then 3 and 4, which is I don't know what and what, but we'll look right now. Let's kind of dig through this. What was I just talking about? Yeah, so it lets you know this is how the Book of the Dead works, how courtrooms work, the Bible, because the Bible is a law, right? Book 6 is the book of Joshua. They claim their territory. They're crossing the Jordan. Just as Valifor is a Duke of Air and associated with Baal the bird, the flying soul, the book of Joshua begins with a miraculous crossing of water and to enter a new state of being. The strategy of the scout. Valifor is a good familiar. He leads into a good understanding, but is also associated with thievery. In Joshua, the very first act of the campaign is sending scouts or spies into Jericho to steal intelligence, exactly what a Duke of Valifor's caliber would oversee. The thief logic. Let's see. All right. That's cool, right? So yeah, book 5 is Deuteronomy, which is the law. And that's Marbus. So yeah, I guess laws, and in a sense, the baboons do keep a law. They keep this like primal law, this kind of law that they are animals and they're not humans. So they're saying in a sense like, hey, this is what a baboon does. This is who we are. This is what we are, and you can like train us and do all these other things, but we're still going to be baboons. So there's this like natural law or order, and that lets you know like if you have somebody in court, right, and they come in, they're like, well, I'm a human and this is what I do. Am I guilty or innocent? And it's up to the pharaoh to be like, okay, guilty or innocent. But that's the thing, like if the pharaoh's like, well, um, I'm a pharaoh and my job is to destroy evil and you're evil, so I'm going to destroy you. So there's no way you can counteract with that, right? To like argue with that idea, because it'll be like, all right, I'm the pharaoh. I heard you were cursing me, or that you were stealing my worship, that you're a false idol, and that you're an idol, you're a singer, you're a celebrity, and I'm the pharaoh, so all the attention should go to me. Why is it going to you? Like, you're not paying me any tributes, so why should I let you? So are you guilty or innocent? And then the idol would be like, well, I'm innocent because I was helping people. And then it's like, okay, well, this is why you're guilty in my eyes, because all that attention they could have suffered and then found me as their guidance, but instead they went to you, and now they just live this cycle of sex and violence. So you're guilty, right? And then, that's how it works. Yeah. So I guess it is a tug of war. Um, yeah, they said that like ravens and wolf pups play together. Um, Yeah, so I think that's really cool. Like, I was like, okay, because it wouldn't tell me. I was like, so what do baboons have to do with diseases, like, and curing them? But it's actually kind of true. Baboons carry lots of diseases, and they can give you a disease, but they also have 97% human DNA, so they use them as test subjects to find cures. Isn't that interesting? Like, that this spirit turns out to be like that it like is in our generation as well. Um, yeah, so he has these ravens. But if you also look at, describe Marbus as a lion. And if you look at a baboon, they have this fur coat around them and this heavy mane. They're very lionistic creatures. They look like dogs and lions put together, and monkeys. Like, it's crazy. They're very chimera-ectic. And it kind of goes into that Wizard of Oz idea with the flying monkeys, right? So they can go around, fly around, and Bobby can do that. He can go from here to there, as a duke. I mean, as if you see here, he's in the area or the sector of air, so that lets you know that he has a sword and he can travel. So he can move, he can fly, and since it's in air, but air is always gonna go to the south, so it lets you know that he can fly, but he's also something somewhat dangerous, actually very dangerous, right? Um, yeah, but he can cause this disease and cure them. Um, yeah, so I was like, yeah, what do ravens have anything to do? I remember when I was younger, my mother said my grandfather would use the ravens to help him find things, and it would work. So it lets me know that we have that kind of connection, you know? And I guess when Alexander the Great was lost, the ravens would help him to find his way to the gods. Um, the hawk is a bird of Ra and Isis. The raven crows associated with Nephthys, the dark sister of Isis. That's pretty interesting, right? Yeah, because this isn't the afternoon, right? This is when the sun starts setting, so it lets you know that the crows are flying down this way, or flying up back to the north, into the underworld. So the underworld, or let's see how they describe it. The underworld, Nephthys, where is it? Okay, messenger of Nephthys, dark sister. I don't know. I'm trying to find something about the underworld, but I'm not finding anything on it. So, okay. With the underworld, I don't think of it as like under the earth in a sense. Yeah, sure, we die, we're under the earth kind of thing, but the north is the earth, right? So if we're going in this cycle to go into the north, um I would say we're moving east because we want to be closer to the sun and each day be closer to the sun while it's rising, right? Because if we go west, then we're going further and further away from the sun, so we're always going to be in the nighttime. But if we go from east, south, west, and then north, we're always getting that chance to be able to go through those cycles. But the underworld. So if this is where Nephthys is, and Set, this is Set, and this would be Nephthys, because actually this is Virgo and this is Jupiter. So Set and Nephthys. When you're going through these, and this is the underworld, but it's north, so it's kind of, I guess it's kind of saying that the Hades, the underrealm, the, you know, I think I'll find another word for it later, but that would be heaven, right? Because it's in the north, right? So it's letting you know that like further up, that's where heaven is. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, because I was like, how is Marvis the baboon? Like, I don't know. I get these like glimpses of like, you know what? That's Bobby, huh? That's the bird in the picture. Like, and then it starts coming together and it's like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, it's like decoding something that this helps you decode things. I'm telling you, this, and then you get your computer and some Bible verses and you'll figure it out. Let's see. Yeah, so the raven was seen as the bird of the hidden sun, and this is the area of the hidden sun, right? Because you can see the sunrise here, it appears, but also this is a bit hidden because this is 1 a.m., right? So this is still nighttime, and the sun is rising, and then finally at 6 o'clock it breaks, and then you start seeing everything. But yeah, so if it's the hidden sun, the sun sets here, but the north is still here, and we're still traveling. So this lets you know this is the hidden sun, because you can't see the sun. It's past the horizon. It's moving on. So let's see. If this is the earth, and the sun is rising, right? The sun rises, and it hits the south. So maybe we'll point it this way, right? So the sun rises in the east. It's on the south, right? And it's like super hot and it's beaming down on us. And then it starts settling down towards the west, right? And then we lose it because we don't see it. And it's going back around this way. So when it's going down and it hits the horizon, and this is nighttime, right? The sun comes back up, goes back down, comes back up. But the sun isn't going around the earth like that. We're inside of like a wheel. We're inside of an orb, right? So we're not on the outside of the earth. We're on the inside of the earth. We're in the inner earth. And the sun is rotating, doing this rotation. So if we're standing, where we would be standing like this would be the North Pole, right? Let's move it like this back. So this is the North Pole, okay? This is the South Pole. And the sun is doing this like circular thing. So the sun rises, it's going west, and then it's coming down. So let me try. The only reason why it's kind of difficult to say it that way, let's try it this way. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so the sun's rising. It's going through these nodes. It's going above. It's setting. And then it emerges back in the east, but in a different. So if I'm in LA, the sun's going to Japan. It's going in this like circle. So if we were to walk along, we would be like walking like this. That's what it looks like. I wish I could put up like a 3D diagram of it, because once you get it through your head, it's pretty trippy. All right, anyways, let's see. So yeah, Zeus, Jupiter, Cronus, Saturn, water, flow of information, Jupiter, Zeus, law, kingship, yeah, so Ibis, Iblis is Thoth. The army of dogs, Bobby, Marvis. Yeah, so I think with the healing and curing part of it is, it's also kind of interesting because okay, so if he's up here watching everything happening, because this is Mercury, so that's the president, right? So he's this guy right here, and he's on top right here, and he's watching everything on top of the scales, and he's like, "What's going on? Like, what's happening?" And I guess that's makes sense because he is shown with the phallus, and on the scales you have this rod, right? This vertical rod, right? That he's on top of, and that could be his phallus, right? But he heals and causes diseases, and he can change a man into any shape that he wants, and he's a mechanist. He's mechanical, so he probably put it all together, and he's like, oh, okay, like let's see, somebody comes into the courtroom, and he cures and causes diseases. So he could be somebody that's a bit like a prosecutor almost in a way, because he can be somebody that's like, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? Like, what do you do? Because they're very curious, right? And they ask questions, and that can cause a disease or it can cure it. So a dis-ease and a dis-ease. In Alcoholics Anonymous, we talk about this dis-ease, the disease, because you feel uncomfortable and you start drinking because you're like, well, I'm not good enough. I should just drink so people can like me, right? Or I can get liked, or I can get out of my skin. It's that dis-ease. You just feel uncomfortable with who you are, so you have to drink, right? And you create this infection, and it spirals down, and you end up hurting yourself. So he can cure it or cause it. So in a sense, I could be like, hey, Bobby, Marbus, go out there, find my enemies. Let's find my enemies, and when we find them, let's curse them, right? So we can curse them or bless them. Like, if they're my allies, let's bless them. Let's heal them from all these curses that MGK is putting on them. Or if I see MGK with my Marbus and Bobby, I could be like, hey, Bobby, go over there and cause him a disease. Like, give him pain. Like, torture him, hound him. And he'll go over there, bite him, hold on to him, harass him, and then the rest of his pack will harass them as well, because they all work in tandem. They're a team of vicious, carnivorous, like, primal instinct creatures. So they're just like, they will rowdy it up and they'll go crazy up on there. And that's kind of what we do as people too, right? When they start rioting and start going crazy, they break everything and they just hurt everybody. That's just natural for them, but it's wrong, but and they should be punished for it. But at the same time, we could use that to our advantage, those are tactics. Yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, the Dogs of War, Bobby's 77 dogs are his special forces. In Egyptian Heka magic, they aren't just literal dogs, they are executioners, the Shemsu. Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Yeah, because I'm like, all right, presidents are have that military command, and so do dukes, they're captains. So you know that over here, Thoth and his baboon, oh, that makes so much sense now, right? Because Thoth is the prince, and then he has his president, which is Bobby, and he's like, I'm the leader of an army, so I make all the brain moves, but I need my muscle, which is gonna be a president, right? So he has the rest of the forces, the Stolas, which is down here. So he has this army of princes, and princes are gonna be the pharaoh's children, right? So you're my children because my lineage is much more older, and it's very concentrated, and you guys all came off of my boat, and I traveled and I landed. And then once I've landed and established my own life, then I was surrounded by all my princes, but they don't look at me as their king. They look at me as a nobody. So that's why I'm like, all right, I'll show you why I'm your Messiah and how I have to destroy you, because I'm King David. That's my job, right? Like, if mankind couldn't live up to the scales, then you have to be destroyed, and I choose. Those scales are mine. They're right here. They belong to me. It's what I walk on. It's my life. So you guys failed the test. You guys lost. You guys are losers. Let's see. The boat. In some spells, like spell 398, Bobby's body is identified as the underworld ferry boat itself. Very cool. The mast, his phallus, is specifically called the mast of the ferry and the door bolt of the sky. That's kind of cool too. Yeah, To get to the islands of the blessed, Aru, you have to ride on Bobby. If you don't have the right spells to control him, the fairy, his body, will turn on you and devour you instead of transporting you. So that's a very common theme. So I guess, here he goes, and then once you reach the underworld, he has to travel you across this ferry to get to the islands, right? Because this is water, this is earth, this is fire, this is all the trees, this is the air, this would be like the desert. In Yu-Gi-Oh, they have like areas like watery areas where they summon the dragons and they get stronger there. And if you summon zombies here, the zombies will get stronger because this is basically the underworld. Even though it's north, that's interesting, right? Yeah, Bobby will turn on you. So basically, that's a very powerful spell if you think about it, because you're like, okay, I'm gonna bring you to me. I'm gonna force you all to come to me to be judged. And so Bobby's carrying you, and if anybody tries to I guess refuse, kind of like the mark of the beast, right? If you refuse the mark of the beast, the image of the beast destroys you, and that's kind of what that is. So they just destroy you. They're like, oh, we'll just call them off on our way there. The diet. He is described as a bloodthirsty and said to live on the entrails of the unrighteous. He represents the end of the road for anyone who fails the king's law. He stands by a lake of fire. If the soul is found unrighteous during the weighing of the heart, Bobby doesn't just watch, he attacks. Cool, right? Like, that's a pretty powerful... Yeah, so Baba is the polar opposite of the wise scribe version of the baboon Thoth. He is the bull of the baboons, the alpha male in his most violent and primal form, which is so cool. I love that. But, okay, so we have Valifor over here. Obviously, he tempts you to steal. That's not a bad thing, but also it's kind of good, because imagine there's a bird in there, and it'll say things like, if you were doing something bad, would you do this? Would you do that? Would you give the money back, or would you take it and keep it for yourself? And you'll think it. So if you think it and you're like, your heart would be like, yeah, I would take the money and keep it for myself. And you'll be like, no, I wouldn't take it and do anything with it. The baboon will come out and be like, beat the crap out of you, or Valifor will come and tear your eyes out and be like, we know the truth, So we have these cool little armies so far building up, and it's also showing you how the courtroom works. So obviously I'm Baal, the king, the god, right? The pharaoh. And then I have my Agaris, which is basically my serpent in a sense. So he's my snake, he's my Amet, he's my dragon that is right next to me to protect me, to defend me, to destroy my enemies if they get too close or try to curse me or put bad magic on me or say anything bad about me or even lie to me. He's there to be like, oh, I see you. So these are my defense, but this is my first line of defense, right? So he's just my ever faithful third eye, basically, right there, the god and the devil. They're combined. So boom, got him, right? And then I have Thoth and Anubis over here weighing the scales and writing everything down, so they're very intelligent, but this is all still part of me, right? So I'm like, oh, I know everything that's going on. Oh yeah, I can feel what's going on with you. Yeah, I know what's up. I know the truth. I'm not stupid. And then we keep going, and then it's like, oh, do you want me to go crazy upon you, or do you want me to be like, okay, and be a little bit more logical, because I'm gonna win this game. But next we're gonna have, let's see, 2, 4, 6. This is 8 and 10. On the corners are 4 spirits, not just 2. So these ones have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? Because these corners hold a lot of weight. So that's usually the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse kind of thing. But yeah, so this is fun. Right here would be Aleph, and then I think this is Daleh, and then there's the rest of the word in the Hebrew. And so this is Egyptian, it's Hebrew, it's the mark of the beast, it's everything, it's the image of the beast. Let's go. Yeah, so I'm just teaching you how it works. This is the end times, right? So I'm the Antichrist, I'm the Messiah, I'm Jesus Christ, I'm the Messiah for the Jewish people, I'm everything. I'm Buddha, doesn't matter. I'm the war thing, I'm the destroyer. So basically, I'm all of that, and yeah, I am just trying to teach you guys how to play a little bit, so that way the game could be more fun and exciting, because you guys are boring. You guys like to just do nothing with your lives. You don't like to expand them. You just watch Marvel movies and pretend that it's gonna help you in the long run. It's not. Um, what else do you guys do? You make babies for no reason. Like, why do you want to bring a baby into a world this boring? Don't you want to bring them into my world where everything's better? I don't feel like you guys are even trying. And then you want to like breed and have all these creatures, like disgusting, and you want to have all these pets, disgusting. Like, get over it. Like, you got something better to do with your life. Like, do something better with your life. Like, follow me. Like, no, I want to make weird videos. I want to do like Minecraft videos. Like, you want to play Minecraft when you could go out there in the real world and really craft and really mine? When you could really do that, but instead you're in a room tripping balls? Literally, you're naked playing video games? Like, no. Like, that's not gonna happen. Not in my world. Like, don't worry. Like, you guys reveal yourselves so perfectly well. But it's okay because I'm training the AI, I'm training myself, I'm training everybody else. I'm gonna train the world. I'm gonna tame you guys. I'm the Beastmaster. I'm like, you don't even know yet. Go ahead, laugh about it, make fun of it. Because it's only gonna make me more popular, obviously. You know, usually I'm in the shadows, but I'm like, you know what? It's time to shine, you know? It's time to take over. Like, why not? What do I got to lose, right? You have a lot to lose, obviously, but yeah, let's just see how the world spins.